Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to your favorite spooky, ooky, trashy podcast, The Haunted Heart.
That was good.
Thank you.
That was only like our fifth try.
You shouldn't tell people that.
Fourth try. Full disclosure, transparency is what we look for in podcasting.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh.
Leave in all the bumps, all the ums, all the tongue clicks. Just go for it.
Okay. I'll remember that. That would help me out a lot in post.
No, not for you. Nope, it doesn't pertain to you.
To me?
Yeah, because you have to make me look good, sound good.
I have to make you sound good.
You have to make me sound
Sound good and look good sometimes.
Sometimes, on occasion. Sound good, always.
Yes.
Anyway, we have a fun episode for you guys today.
We really do.
Yeah. We've been getting like real dark with the Satanist church scandals and the dark web and like
lots of things about children being hurt for the past several episodes.
Right. Lots of darkness.
We felt some sort of way.
Right. So I feel like we really needed to both of us actually feel like we really needed to take it up to a lighter place. So we're not going to really get into anything too heavy today.
No,
so this is a fun episode.
It's going to be one of those fun casual episodes that you all love.
It's a fun ride.
Yes, it will be.
You assume they love it. You assume.
I'm just going to just going to put it out there. I'm just going to say that they do. Yes.
Believe it. You just believe it to be true so forcefully that you shape reality to your will. And that is chaos magic.
Will it into being.
Will it into being.
Yes.
Speaking of willing things into being, we have 3 new Patreon members that we need to introduce to you.
Yes, we do.
We do.
3 brand new inductees.
Beautiful, bright, shining stars.
They're still wearing their white sacrificial robes at this point.
Absolutely. We have not spattered them with blood yet.
No, they're walking up the aisle while everybody else that has previously joined is in black, hooded. They're waiting. And they come up to us.
I think it's we've turned it into a deflowering thing. Mm-hmm. They might be a little uncomfortable with that. But you know what? Just ride it out. Mm-hmm. You'll get to a place of being comfortable. Or you'll struggle with inner demons.
Listen, they came here consensually, so.
They did. So first up, we have Stephen H.
And what is Stephen H?
Stephen H is a cannibal cult
They're
member.
those cannibal cult members again.
They're hungry.
Mm-hmm. And next up is Jessica B. from our Stay Spooky Squad.
And lastly, but not leastly, is leastly a word?
I don't think that's a word, but we'll roll with it.
We have Jose R., who is a member of our Haunted Heart Harem. All right, our darklings, your candles are lit. Here they are, a beautiful trio standing guard as we record our episode today. Mm-hmm. And they will burn throughout the entirety of this episode, but always and forever in our dark, dark hearts. Mm-hmm. And if you are interested in joining the Patreon, you can find us at patreon.com/thehauntedheart. And you can join for as little as $1 a month.
Yes.
We have a bunch of different tiers, and we have all kinds of bonus material and extra, our side series, Netflix and Kill. We actually do an extra episode every month that is only released to Patreon members.
Yes.
So all kinds of fun stuff like that. If you love the show, we think you'd love the Patreon. Check it out.
Yes, definitely. And I do believe we actually have a listener story.
We do. We have an email, y'all.
Our latest inductee. Jose R.
So Jose dropped us a line, and he actually had a story that he wanted to share from his friend Christina. So Jose writes, So my friend Christina, I lived with her when I first moved to San Antonio, and she told me of an incident that happened with her grandmother. So when she moved to San Antonio from Laredo for college, her grandmother lived in her old house with Christina's parents. The grandmother was ill. Her parents' house in Laredo was 2 stories, and when Christina moved out, her grandma was put in Christina's old bedroom downstairs. On a weekend trip Christina took to Laredo to pay the folks a visit, she told me this crazy shit happened. Since her grandmother was downstairs, she would bunk in her sister's room upstairs. She was asleep and heard the bedroom door open, and then she felt someone sit on her bedside. Thinking it was her sister, she paid no mind until she felt someone trying to get her attention. Then she got mad and swung her arm, thinking it was her sister trying to wake her up, but her arm hit nothing. She was alone in the room. She sat up and started to feel hands on her face. Girl, no. She sat up and started to feel hands on her face. Of course, she freaked the fuck out and just pulled the covers over and passed out. The next morning, she went downstairs to say good morning to her grandma. She goes in the bedroom, and her grandma just stares at her and says, "He fueron a ver anoche verdad." Girl, you playing with me. I'm just a green guy. I can't be talking all that. But that means they went to go visit you last night?
No, ma'am.
He says, I've had scary shit happen to me and so many of my friends, but that one has always stayed with me. Thought I would share.
Oh, that's creepy. I'm going to tell you what, though. I do appreciate that her initial reaction was to swing and knock the fuck out of her sister.
For sure. I mean, well, because, like, that's how you, like, so clearly know that she thought it was her sister. Because, like, if you have siblings or anybody who frequently on a regular basis annoys you, like, that's how you are, right? Like, you think it's your sister just trying to be
right
a bitch.
Yeah.
When actually it's some fucking paranormal activity shit, and it's time to get the salt and the sage, baby.
For sure. I'm going to tell you what, the don't touch my face. Like, there are very few things that I like touching my face. And random.
The list is short and somehow still long.
Very true. But ghost hands, not one of them.
No, definitely not. That's a weird one. I don't read very many things where they like touch your face or like stroke your face. Like, fuck that. No, girl. They trying to take your face. That's the next step. But no, thank you so much for sharing that, Jose. Hope everything worked out for Christina. Hope she's still with us.
Hope
and
she's okay.
Hope her face is still with us, and hope she's just doing good.
Yes, I hope so too. Because wow. Yes. So. Thank you for that again. Always, we appreciate when people send us listener stories. So if you want to send us something, you can send it over to the Haunted Heart Podcast at gmail.com. And I think that leads us into what we're talking about today, right?
Yeah, that's all our housekeeping. So we can...
all I have to say... What?
No, go ahead and say it. No, go ahead. You're very determined.
No, I just have to say, so Dr. Katie... Mm-hmm. I've got a burning sensation deep down.
That's chlamydia.
In my loins.
Definitely chlamydia.
Am I going to be okay?
Get a cream.
Am I going to be okay?
You will if you seek medicinal help.
Well, what would you prescribe me?
Probably a good strong antibiotic. Also a therapist. Probably a self-help book just to kind of get it all back on track. Recenter yourself, maybe some yoga.
You're really taking this in an area that I didn't want you to take it into. You're actually going in the direct opposite of where I wanted you to go.
Or you could just pour acid on your genitals.
There we go.
Or you could do cocaine about it.
Do cocaine about it.
Do cocaine about it.
So I was really excited for this because this is our probably... This episode was inspired by a meme.
Absolutely. 100% inspired by a meme.
So,
you know what? You can find inspiration in many places when you are trash.
That's what happens when you're desperate.
That's what happens when you are garbage.
Garbage. What's that other meme? That's
Vine.
That Vine? That's
yeah. Hey, thanks for checking in. I'm still a piece of garbage. Yeah, I wish that we could find the person who made that so we could like ask if it could like be our theme
That
song.
should just be our intro.
Yeah, right.
Like, don't talk, just play that, and then
just
we'll be
go.
good.
Yeah.
And then just go.
And then you guys
we
just
won't
know.
we won't have to struggle like we do.
We'll still struggle for sure,
Always, because then you have to intro that.
because that's the way of life.
Yes. So, episode 58, Ghosts in Your Blood.
And that's your with a Y-E-R.
Your blood.
Just so we're specific.
Yes.
So the meme, if anybody doesn't know about it, the meme is that one that was floating around Facebook that says being an old-timey doctor would rule. Just drunk as hell, like, yeah, you got ghosts in your blood. You should do cocaine about it.
I think that's one of the funniest memes. A top-tier meme. Definitely.
Definitely high-quality meme. It's amazing. The doctor in that meme, by the way, appears to be on the phone, but it seems like it might be like an old school, like, what's it called? Like a stethoscope, but like he's not on the patient's...
A stethoscope is not a phone.
Right. It looks like it might be an old-timey version of a stethoscope, but he's
okay.
like not anywhere near the patient's heart, or lungs. So I'm not really sure. He's like on the like love handle. I don't really know what's going on there in that photograph.
Okay, cool.
But
yes, so we all know. You always get people who's like, oh, well, it would be great to like. I would rock like this decade. I would rock like this, and some people who talk about like, oh, I just think it'd be so great living in the Victorian area.
Who says that? Is that a thing?
People do. I'm sure they do because they're like, oh, I love the aesthetic and the style.
I just really love never showing my ankles.
Some people do that. No, I was watching
Really?
a Facebook video where this man and woman who live strictly in the Victorian era.
Oh, God.
So their home, like, it has electricity, but they don't use it. And then their bulbs, because they're like, oh, well, they did have electricity back then. But they have, like, old school, like...
dim ass lighting.
Yeah.
Like the old, like, filaments.
Mm-hmm. The old filament bulbs.
So it's shitty and they're blind.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, so people...
Do they also brush their teeth with cinnamon? Like, is that...
They might.
Do they live that life?
They might. They showed a video of the one guy riding one of those big-ass bicycles with a huge fucking wheel. Just going down the road.
Damn it,
and
I
she's
hate
got
hipsters.
a fucking bicycle with a fucking basket on the front of it. Yeah.
Hipsters are taking over this fucking country. It's time to do something, America. Stand up.
Not
fight.
murder, though.
Yeah.
Please, no. The
Oh my
wrong
God.
person listening to that would be awful. That
A
is
call to arms.
tragic. So I have an article here that I'm kind of going to gloss over. I'm going to pull from a little bit. And it is from WebMD.
Oh,
So
all
you
right.
know it's real
Okay.
and legitimate. This was written by a Catherine Cam.
Okay.
So we talk about a look back at old-timey medicines, okay? So pity the poor Victorian-era family whose bottle of Mrs. Winslow's soothing syrup ran dry.
Now, what was in Mrs. Winslow's soothing syrup? Because it was probably like fucking marijuana, fucking cocaine.
It was probably cocaine.
100%.
So
you ain't gonna feel nothing. You gonna be real soothed. And then you wake up and you've murdered your entire family.
Oh, if only. Mrs. Winslow's soothing syrup was touted as an indispensable aid to quiet bawling babies.
Oh my God.
And teething tots.
You know what? You guys know that we come from the South, and I'm just gonna put it out there that it ain't no shame in putting a little bit of whiskey in baby's bottle. Just for them,
That's what my
stay
grandmother...
quiet nights.
No, I'm serious. When I was sick, my grandmother gave me whiskey and honey.
Yeah. Well,
What
funny
that
story.
did, I don't know.
No, when I was in college, I had walking pneumonia, and
Is that the same as sleeping pneumonia?
no,
Okay.
it's just more active. No, it's a little bit different, but it was still really, really, really bad, and my lungs were super congested, and I had all these antibiotics and stuff to take, and I think I took I don't know. I had a steroid and an antibiotic, and I think I went through 2 different prescriptions, and it just wasn't helping, and nothing would give me any kind of relief until I started doing
Mrs. Winslow's soothing syrup?
No. Like a shot of whiskey with a little honey in it.
Uh-huh.
And then I would do that every like 4 hours, I think, or 3 hours with a hot compress on my back. And that like made it so that I could fucking breathe. And obviously that's not going to cure fucking pneumonia. Like I'm not one of these like super crazy militant holistic healers who's going to tell you that you can just like put a crystal in your water bottle and cure yourself of cancer. But it did help. So there is something to some of the things that were like old-timey cures. Sometimes things work for a reason, but other times people just fucking put cocaine in you.
Right.
And make you feel great.
Other times they just masked the problem.
Right, exactly.
But no, so Mrs. Winslow's soothing syrup had morphine in it.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, you're gonna be really soothed.
No wonder
you drink enough of it, you're gonna be so soothed your fucking heart just stops beating.
That's why your babies were stopped bawling. No bawling babies for you, because they are dead.
Yeah.
So obviously today, no one would dream of calming an infant with morphine. But the Museum of Medicine is
certainly wouldn't talk about it if they did.
No. But the Museum of Medicine is littered with such discarded remedies. Remedies?
King Ramses?
I need some morphine. Some were fanciful potions that quacks concocted to make a buck, because that's mostly what a lot of these were. Mm-hmm. While others were legitimate and even revered. Treatments that eventually yielded to more enlightened science. So, for example, we had opium, which has a very tainted reputation these days. But we know that it was a favorite for doctors throughout history, especially to control coughing and diarrhea. Opium was regarded as an all-purpose drug. One physician called it God's own medicine.
And that man was addicted to opium. In fact.
Yes. Yeah, I'm going to say he was. They also used arsenic and mercury to treat syphilis before the introduction of penicillin in the 1940s. And one company even sold heroin tablets to relieve asthma symptoms. Do heroin about it.
Just do heroin about it. Again, much like morphine, heroin being a downer, it's going to chill you out to the point that you don't really give a fuck if you can breathe or not. And then you stop breathing. Mm-hmm.
So you eventually had cures, speaking of cocaine, for your toothaches. They came on the market pretty soon after doctors discovered its pain-relieving qualities. I bet it does. One Belgian company even promoted cocaine throat lozenges as, quote, indispensable for singers, teachers, and orators.
I love the very specific groups that we're marketing to there.
Teachers, singers, orators. Is that how you say that? Orators?
Orators? No, I think it's orators.
Okay.
Technically, fun fact, we're orators. Being that we speak weekly for you on this podcast.
Oh, so that's like old school podcast.
Yeah, so like podcast, that is like old school podcaster would be an orator. Oh. So like technically we orate weekly.
So we can get cocaine drops?
So currently they're enjoying our oration skills.
As many do.
And yes, if you want to sponsor us with some cocaine drops, that'd be great. Just kidding. We discourage drug use on this show.
I swear, please, if we go to our P.O. box next week and there's cocaine
I will
tablets,
absolutely fucking hand it immediately to the police. I cannot handle that. I am a goody fucking two-shoes in my life. I will immediately take it to the cops, and I'm really sorry. I'll be really happy that you sent us something to our P.O. box, but try to keep it like legal stuff, or like mostly legal.
Yeah, I believe if I saw it, I would probably just like I'd give it to a homeless, maybe. Here, would you like this?
A homeless? Oh my God.
I wouldn't keep it, that's for sure. I'd either toss it or give it to the next person.
Just pass it along. Here you go.
Yeah.
Technically, does that mean you're distributing though?
Possibly.
Immediately to the police. See, I don't fuck around.
I'll toss it. All right, so while doctors of the late 1800s considered these drugs legitimate, a whole range of shady patent medicines, sometimes called nostrums, also flourished during this period.
Now, I have to say I do enjoy the word nostrum.
Is it nostrum or nostrum?
I have always said nostrum, but I am a hick with no fucking raising. So, I'm not sure.
Whatever. Nostrum makes me sound like I'm trying to say Nordstrom's. No.
Nostrums.
Nostrums. Whatever. I'm going to say nostrums.
I think it's nostrums.
So, people
But that also makes me think of nostrils. Sorry, I'm having a hard time letting it go. Okay. Continue with your piece.
So, with my piece.
Continue with your oration.
Okay, hold on. Let me just get my cocaine. Okay. People bought these nostrums from traveling medicine shows, and the cures beckoned boldly from billboards and newspaper and magazine ads, and you really could not get away from them. They were inescapable. So just imagine being in New York City and you've just got like fucking ads everywhere for fucking cocaine and heroin. Much different, but somehow not from what we see today.
True. Which is just models on cocaine and heroin.
Yes. And cocaine is just Coca-Cola.
Yeah. Well, no, didn't they used to put cocaine in Coca-Cola? Like it used to be an ingredient up until like the 10s, right?
Something. I didn't research that, but yes.
Yeah. That's so weird.
Unless that's a crazy like Mandela thing that everybody thinks, then we're not getting into that.
No, we're not doing that. We're not going down that rabbit hole.
We're not doing that, Kenny.
I orated it, and thus it is true.
Okay.
Twitter will tell us.
A lot of nostrums targeted female complaints. Vague female complaints, according to this article.
Oh, like hysteria, quote unquote, female hysteria.
Yeah. Or menstrual cramps or hot flashes. You know, they weren't really the ladies of the time weren't really vocal about experiencing such things. But they were lining up to buy Lydia E. Pinkham's vegetable compound, which is one of the most popular women's remedies of the time. A vegetable compound. Don't know what that means.
Is that like a salad? Like, what the fuck kind of, what?
I don't know. It sounds like a soap.
How is it administered? Is it like a weird paste that you just paste down there? Or is it like, do you consume it?
I imagine it's like a paste or a soap or something, because I don't know.
I'm just imagining them just like packing your vagina with like fucking cucumbers and shit.
Fucking corn.
A vegetable compound. No.
It's actually like the slop from the fucking feeds at the farm. And it's just like corn and like leftover
soaked
corn
barley
and muck.
That's
and
barley's
shit.
not a vegetable.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was enough of that.
Yeah. So plenty of other patent medicines flooded the American landscape, according to a history posted on the website of the FDA. They included fat off obesity cream. Bitch, where?
Where can I
Where
get that?
is it at? Where is this fat off obesity cream? Because, bitch, I'll be first in line. There were also Make Man tablets.
Make Man?
Make-Man
tablets. Was that like for impotency or whatever?
I'm not sure.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Not quite sure. And there was also an anti-morbific liver and kidney medicine. That was a word. Anti-morbific. Don't know what that means. Anti-death? Anti-morbid, prevent your liver and kidney from dying.
Yes.
Cool.
Sounds good to me.
And it was also touted for, quote, weak hearts, weak blood, weak nerves.
Okay, so just weakness.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a thing back then because they didn't really know what it was, so you just had a weak heart. Your blood was weak. You are weak.
I think that's actually still like the Go Army commercials like of today. Like I think that they probably took that refrain. I think.
Possibly. And you also had a Dr. Bonkers Egyptian oil.
Oh, okay.
I don't know about y'all, but I'm not going to take anything prescribed from a Dr. Bonkers.
He sounds like Patch Adams, but like if Patch Adams was actually a fucking terrifying ass clown.
Uh-huh.
Like I'm seeing Pogo the Clown in a fucking doctor's coat.
Oh, totally.
Coming in to administer Egyptian oil and fucking strangling you.
What is Egyptian oil?
It's probably his semen. I'm going to be honest with you. It's probably semen.
That's more than likely what it was. And
100%.
Well, you took Egyptian oil to help cure your colic, cramps in the stomach and bowels, and cholera. Mm-hmm. So that's what that was.
Okay, good.
Another classic that some people might have heard of was Mac Mahon, the rattlesnake oil king's liniment for rheumatism and catarrh.
Yes, I was actually going to talk about this, that snake oil was actually like a real thing. Because we hear about like the snake oil salesman being somebody who's like slippery and out to trick you. But like actually it's a real thing. Snake oil was a thing.
Yeah, they used that to cure congestion, mostly from the common cough or cold.
Yes.
So, some patent medicines simply took a scattershot approach. In 1862, there was a mixer's cancer and scrofula syrup claimed to treat cancer, tumors, abscesses, ulcers, fever, sores, goiter, catarrh, salt rheum, scald head, piles, rheumatism, and all blood diseases.
Scald head.
Yes.
Now, what are we talking about there?
So
is that being bald?
No,
is that baldness?
No, I looked at that.
It's either baldness or it's venereal disease. Which head are we talking about?
Scald head. So I looked at that because I was like, what the fuck is scald head? Apparently it's a disease. It's kind of like, almost like where you lose your hair. Mm-hmm. I can't think of the term.
Alopecia.
It's kind of like alopecia, except it's like you've got like scabs and stuff, and your hair is kind of falling out. So kind of like almost exactly how it sounds, like your head looks burnt and like
scalded.
Yeah, like scalded, but very not pretty.
Traumatizing.
Not pretty. You also had different drugs. Which was called food, which they called food of the brain, which was supposedly a safe cure for headaches and nervousness and insomnia and all sorts of crazy shit. I mean, you had elixirs and pills that everybody you had these elixirs, these pills, these nostrums for literally almost everything under the sun. They also invented a dizzying array of devices such as electric insoles and magic shoes to cure sore feet and crippling conditions. And there was also, in the 1800s, a health jolting chair. And it resembled a garden variety armchair, but it was rigged with springs and levers. Its advertising promised that the chair would give, quote, efficient exercise to the essentially important nutritive organs of the body.
Oh, it's kind of like that. Oh, what is that machine called that you would stand in front of it and you put the strap like around your waist and then it would like
jiggles.
shake, right? And it's supposed to like tone your stomach and your midsection, but it just doesn't fucking work at all.
Exactly.
And instead you just starve yourself.
That's exactly what this was for.
Okay.
So according to the manufacturer, all that jiggling and jolting.
Jiggling.
I mean, there's going to be a lot of jiggling with us.
Honey, woo, that's maximum jiggle.
It was essential for, quote, millions of human beings who may be living sedentary lives through choice or necessity. Through choice.
Through choice.
Same.
Feel it.
Same.
Understand.
Same. The chair was, for certain classes of invalids, a, quote, veritable treasure trove. So, sounds like a good time.
It does. It sounds like magic fingers, but for a chair.
Yeah.
Which I'm curious to know about.
Mm-hmm.
If you have one, email thehauntedheartpodcast@gmail.com and maybe I'll try it out.
Wow. Okay. So now we're coming to, it's kind of like the end of an era. So the golden age of patent medicines ended in the early 1900s, quoted from the FDA website, when muckraking journalists wrote exposés and the federal government cracked down with new legislation to prohibit adulteration or misbranding of foods and drugs, as well as false advertising. Also, as the state of legitimate medicine evolved, new cures replaced the old. So when doctors began treating syphilis with penicillin, a grateful generation was spared the toxic effects of arsenic and mercury. including inflammation of the gums, destruction of the teeth and jaws, and organ damage. Opium and other addictive drugs also fell by the wayside once scientists realized their pitfalls, and Novocaine replaced its predecessor, cocaine, as an anesthetic.
Okay.
I like that Green Day song. Give me Novocaine.
That's one of my favorite songs. That album is so fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, American Idiot, it's been sort of, I guess, eclipsed is the word that I'm trying to find, by the fucking stupid musical that they did. I'm sorry if you like that musical.
I ignored it.
I'm a huge Green Day fan, and I cannot do like the Broadway sound on Green Day songs. I just can't. I'm too angsty.
Yeah.
I'm too angsty teen.
Yeah.
But the American Idiot album is so fucking good.
Oh, totally.
It's amazing. And then 21 Guns happened.
Yeah, I like that song, 21 Guns. But whatever.
No, that album, though, it was like, that album was so disappointing. Anyway, it's fine.
We're going to move on, Katie.
It's an old wound.
We're going to move on.
Put some salve on it.
Put some snake oil on it and let's go.
Yeah.
So no doubt, more medical advances on the horizon will make some of today's medicines outdated. So perhaps it's wise to avoid smugness, because they were just trying to figure shit out back then. Mm-hmm. Like, we look at it today as like, what the fuck were you doing? But I mean, like, if you look at it, like, there are people in the future that might look back at us and like, you did chemotherapy, you shot people up with chemo for cancer. Like, what?
Like, once we finally have the amazing like Star Trek cures, we'll be like, holy shit. Yeah. There's actually a moment like that in one of the Star Trek movies where the doctor, who obviously this is way in the future, is like shocked. They travel back in time, and the doctor's like shocked that we actually cut people open to do surgery. He's like, barbarians.
But that's true, though. I mean, who knows what, that will look like. I mean, because we do all sorts of crazy shit with chemo, Botox, all of that stuff. So,
right.
I mean, who's to judge, right?
Who's to judge what crazy shit we're doing right now? I'm just going to really quickly say diet pills.
True.
Moving on.
True. No, very true.
No, very dangerous. Cool.
So that's like a very brief overall like history of like medicine. I don't claim to be a doctor.
No, neither. Definitely. We are definitely not doctors of any kind.
No. So I don't know. Like, I don't really have too much of an opinion on this. I just know that cocaine and heroin and mercury are bad to ingest.
Yes.
So
maybe
probably shouldn't do that.
Maybe don't. Yes. Well, I'm always a proponent of trying to do as much as you can with lifestyle changes and shit like that before you start going on medicine just in general. And that's not what this episode's about. But I just think that, like, I'm not the person who's like, holistic healing will help you with everything. Just put this like fucking, like I said earlier, just put this fucking crystal in your water and then you'll be totally fine.
Can I just say, when you said that, I thought you were going to say put the crystal in your vagina.
No, that's a thing. Yoni eggs. That's a thing. And that's a thing.
Okay.
Don't do it with porous things like the fucking shit that Gwyneth Paltrow is selling on her site Goop. Like, don't fucking do that.
Okay.
Because bodily fluids soak into porous things. You need to use a metal.
Okay.
Or something with a real strong coating. But actually, that is helpful because it helps the muscles of it helps your pelvic floor be stronger.
So you don't have a weak pelvic floor.
Yes.
Okay.
You don't want a weak pelvic floor.
Okay.
That's what's keeping everything in.
Right.
But I will say that I do think that especially in this country, I don't know how it is for our listeners abroad, but I know that our doctors really tend to rely on medicine. And I know I was listening to a podcast the other day where they were specifically talking about mental health, but they were saying that, like, out of so many, there was a study that was done, and out of however, I don't know how many patients they studied, but the average time that someone spent talking to a mental health professional, a doctor, before they were prescribed medicine was like 8 minutes, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, that is ridiculous because there are a lot of things that can be solved with more activity. Maybe not solved, but helped with more activity, with, better diet, with increased engagement and all those sorts of things. And I don't think that we shouldn't just necessarily jump to whatever medicine is out there to fix it immediately. Because as we've seen with some of those treatments, you find out that maybe that wasn't really medicine after all. Maybe it was fucking meth.
Right. I think there's a healthy balance.
There
all right.
is.
So healthier lifestyles, what doctor isn't going to tell you to you need to exercise,
Right.
you need to eat, healthy,
Right.
whatever. That's just fact. That's just very
Right.
basic health 101 when you've got your fucking book in elementary school and it's got the little cartoon kids on it, and it's got eat your vegetables, that sort of thing. We all get it.
It's so critically important, and I think its importance is underplayed sometimes.
Right.
But that's not to say that if you need medicine, take your fucking medicine.
Right.
And it's not to say that you won't ever be in a situation when you do need medicine. Fucking take antibiotics. You need them.
Right.
To get better when you are sick. Take fucking steroids to get better when you are sick if you need them and are prescribed them by a doctor. Take your fucking depression pills. And don't let anybody make you feel bad about it.
Right.
But also engage in other ways. There's so many avenues to good health that that's not the only path. Maybe that's one among many.
Yeah. You should have a doctor that is willing to talk with you and work with you and explore options that work for you and your life.
Exactly.
And that's our official stance on
Mid-episode PSA.
And that's our stance on health.
And that was Health Class Corner.
And healthcare should be affordable for all. Anyway.
Anyway, so you shouldn't have to die on the streets of pneumonia. Moving on. Did you know that, so we talked a little bit about cocaine. We talked a little bit about snake oil. Transition didn't work for you?
Oh, no, it worked, honey. I just love that. So we talked a little bit about cocaine.
It was almost like the PBS, summary at the end of, Barney or Sesame Street or whatever the lesson was today.
Reading Rainbow.
Yeah.
Take a look. It's in a bump. It's cocaine.
I don't think we can air that.
I think we can.
I think we can do whatever the fuck we want because we are what? Not syndicated. So we talked about some substances that were used as medicine in the not so far future. But I did want to kind of go over some of the more unusual procedures that physicians and surgeons would perform.
Ugh.
Yes. So first off, we have hemiglossectomies.
So let's pause.
Yeah.
Hemiglossectomies.
Hemiglossectomies. Yes.
Hemi.
Yes.
I don't know how to break down this
Right.
word.
Interestingly.
Ectomy means, I do know ectomy means, from the one semester of medical terminology that I took 10 years ago, means to remove.
Yes. And apparently gloss is
Remove
tongue.
your gloss? Oh.
Tongue. So basically this involves cutting off a part of the tongue.
Oh.
And this is exactly what some 18th century physicians did in order to, any ideas?
To cure a bitch that lies too damn much.
No.
You got a lying ass bitch, cut her tongue out.
To stop patients from stuttering. Yes. So if you
that'll stop you from stuttering, all right.
If you had a stutter, you could be taken into the physician and they would just cut part of your fucking tongue off. You're not going to stutter at all.
You're not going to fucking talk at all after that either.
No, probably
At least
probably
not
much.
well.
No.
God.
Not a
I
lot.
believe I'll just stick with the fucking stutter.
Yeah, for real. So another interesting thing also to do with the mouth region. In ancient Egypt, they had a really interesting way of dealing with toothaches. They would grind up a rat, mix it with a few other ingredients, and spread it on your teeth like toothpaste.
Ew.
Just
oh my
make
God.
it feel all better.
Baby, I don't think that's how that works.
Here's the thing. I'm not so sure that it cured the toothache, but I'm definitely sure that it cured the patient of ever going back to the fucking ancient Egyptian dentist.
The fucking ancient dentist is like, well, you had any return customers.
We'll just pull this shit. He's like, I'm curing everybody. Nobody's coming back for a second visit to me.
I have cured everyone with my fucking rat paste.
Horrifying.
Could you imagine? Like, that is disgusting. Like, what do you... how do you not vomit is what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah. I mean, I think there was probably plenty of vomiting involved.
Oh, that's just the pain leaving the body. That's just the toxic leaving the body.
Speaking of pain and of things leaving the body, if we take a trip down south, if anybody struggles with hemorrhoids, there's a quick and easy treatment that I can offer you.
Girl, don't. I'm going to say it's not a hemorrhoid cream.
No, it is not. It is not. What do they call it?
Preparation H.
Yeah, it's not Prep H. It's just, all you got to do is just heat up a hot iron and shove it up your asshole.
Oh, no. Listen, I'm all for a hot rod up the ass, okay? But...
Not literally from the blacksmith shop.
No.
Yeah.
No, girl, just deal with the fucking hemorrhoid. I'd rather fucking not sit down.
Just not sit down ever. They
come to the doctor and you just see them heating up the fucking rod and it's just like red with fucking heat. And they're like, okay, bend over, sir.
I'm good. You know what?
No, you know what? I'm just going...
You know, it just popped right back up inside. It's fine.
Pop it right back on up in there. I'm good. And he's like, the doctor's standing there with the fucking rod. And he's like, well, sit down then. And then you just like slowly
have the most uncomfortable sit ever. Everything's fine.
There's a fucking tear.
Silent tear.
Tear rolling down. I mean, I guess it would cure it, bitch, because it would burn your fucking hole out.
It would just straight cauterize.
You wouldn't shit again.
When
what would happen? I just don't understand. What's the thought process behind that?
I guess it's like the thought process of like cauterization. Like with a wound, you just cauterize it.
Cauterize your fucking butthole.
I know. Flexibility is important there in that region of the body for all reasons, for everyone.
I think, don't you just fucking cut it?
Yeah.
Don't you just fucking cut it, stitch it up?
Yeah, that's what's done nowadays.
Oh, okay.
So, but it's fine because they would prepare you for the hot rod up the ass.
Please tell me was there lube?
Some of your fucking like
snake oil?
No, not snake oil. The stuff, the syrup, the morphine syrup.
The morphine syrup.
What was it, Mrs. Whatever?
Mrs. Something's cure all for everything.
That. So they give you a nice big dose of that. And then you wouldn't feel anything. You'd be like, this is great.
I thought you were telling me they were going to also take the fucking rat paste.
Rat paste as a lube.
And put it in there as a fucking lube. A lot,
maybe. If they'd known about that,
you just reach into a fucking bowl of rats and just fucking break the head off one and shove it up the ass first.
Yeah, that's how we cure colon cancer. So, while we're talking about disgusting fucking things, and we probably should have given a trigger warning, but this is just gross middle school shit. Throughout history, people have believed in the curative powers of urine as well. So this means drinking your own urine, drinking someone else's urine, rubbing urine on your teeth, massaging urine on your gums, and the list goes on and on and on. And wasn't there a lady on My Strange Addiction who was like addicted to drinking her piss and had been doing that shit for like 7 years?
I don't know.
She was definitely she was a lady. She was on there.
Well, there's a myth that goes around that your urine is sterile. And it's not.
It's a fucking waste product.
It's not. But that still doesn't stop people from water sports. You know, hey, whatever floats your boat. No judgment here, but I just don't think that rubbing it on your gum. What was that? It was like for toothaches?
I don't know.
Gum disease?
I don't know. It was just supposed to be good for you. Whatever ails you.
No, but you do see, what's his name? The survivalist who drinks his own urine to survive.
I mean, I think that's like, if you're in a situation where you have to keep, Bear Grylls is who you're talking about?
Maybe.
Where you have to fucking stay alive?
Yeah.
Sure, okay, drink your own fucking urine. You have to live, baby. Like the most important thing is you live. But if you're over here, that episode of My Strange Addiction, I'm sure somebody remembers it because like she was so gross. She had it was kind of sad because she had cancer, and then she got treatment for it, but she was so scared of it coming back, so like she would drink her own urine to prevent cancer from coming back because she heard that like in ancient Egypt that's how they would prevent cancer or whatever. Yeah.
I'm gonna say no.
Doubtful.
I'm gonna say no.
But I just remember that, like, you know how they, at the end of that show, they, like, give you an update on them that's like, oh, you know, this person quit eating drywall and they're living a great life. Or, you know, this person decided to not, like, chronically masturbate every second of every day in public. Like, you know?
Yeah.
I remember that her update was like, nope, she went back to drinking piss. And that's where we are. And that was the end of the episode, and it was really triggering.
You know what? You know what, though? She probably has, I mean, hey, there's something for everyone. So I'm pretty sure she's got a kink following.
Maybe. So changing gears a little bit, coming back up north, if you will.
Okay.
We're going to talk
to the nipples.
Yeah. No. Oh. Actually, to the head.
Okay. The old cranium.
Yes. So now we're going to talk about mental health, which, of course, is a...
Oh, I'm sure they got this one right.
Wonderful topic. It's well known how great the sanatoriums of the 1800s and early to mid 1900s were for those of us who struggled with mental diseases and disorders.
Mental diseases like being a woman.
Yeah, like just being female.
I
have a whole separate section on that.
Any number
being
of things.
Everything we are together
being
collectively here on this show.
Enjoying your power, your sex, like all of that.
We definitely would have, this podcast would have landed us in a sanatorium.
Well, hey, that's how we know we're doing it right.
Yes. And in that sanatorium, they may have performed a procedure called trepanation.
Wait,
Maybe.
Or probably?
Probably.
Most likely. Okay.
So trepanation, actually for us, most definitely. Trepanation was a surgical invention in which a hole was drilled into the patient's skull in order to release evil spirits.
So like a lobotomy?
No, not a lobotomy. A lobotomy has to deal with soft tissue.
Oh.
Lobotomy was where they would go up your nose and they would locate a region of your brain that dealt with like impulse and personality. Mm-hmm. And they would just take like basically what looked like a chisel and they just go... And they would damage that section of your brain. I read
that because it was either up your nose or through the corner of your fucking eye.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very scary. But that was damaging the gray matter of your brain to alter your personality and make you a fucking zombie person.
But don't they kind of still do lobotomies, don't they?
No. No, I don't think that there's been a lobotomy performed in many years. I could be wrong. Twitter, let me know. Lobotomy expert on Twitter.
Because they will let you know.
Actually, yeah. No, I don't think
At the Haunted Heart, actually, as a lobotomist.
I think phlebotomists are things. They mess with
blood. Phlebotomist
is
the blood, yeah.
But lobotomists, I don't think that's a thing anymore. Because it was fucking terrifying. But they still can do it chemically. And do it chemically.
So, yeah, that reminds me of the movie Loved Ones. I reviewed it in our first episode, but where she drills a hole right into the fucking middle of his head, and then they pour like a fucking mixture of like Windex and like chemicals into the fucking brain. It just fries your fucking brain.
Yeah. Jeffrey Dahmer did that as well when he was trying to create his love zombies. And then he would bring back. Yeah, he would drill into the skull and the top of the skull, and then he would pour in a mixture of all kinds of horrible things.
Fuck. That terrifies me.
Yeah.
So anyway, this trepanation.
You may be thinking that hole is really small, right? Because there is a procedure in modern medicine called a craniotomy. And that's when there's like blood buildup around or in your brain.
Release the blood.
Yeah, you use it to release the pressure because if your brain is under so much pressure, it'll just like...
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
Us as doctors trying to tell us, so we're going to have to drill this hole in your head to release the blood, because if not, then your brain's going
to... Yeah, basically, yes. And that is why we were podcasters.
Are you performing the surgery?
Will it be
you? Oh, yes. I listened to a podcast episode just before. It's going to be fine.
So here's the hole.
Oh, my.
And we'll post this picture for you guys, but...
Well, that hole's big enough to fuck.
It's a gigantic. No, you can't say that. That's something that a serial killer would say. It's definitely the size of like your fucking like eye cavity.
Yeah.
Like it is far too large a hole. I think the evil spirits could probably squeeze out a crack. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like if we're just trying to let a couple out, I don't think we need to do it for like the wide load evil spirits. They'll squeeze through.
Like this is like definite fart joke material here.
Maybe somewhere in there.
Evil spirits out of a crack, wide load.
Somewhere in there.
Fucking go.
I'm just laying that groundwork.
No, I watched a short horror story one time about this procedure, where you think it's the doctor who's like the evil one because he's got this like little girl, and he's like performing this like nasty fucking experiment on her, or what you think is, and he like fucking cracks open her skull, but then there's actually a fucking demon inside of her that comes out, so he was actually helping her, but then it was the demon inside the girl. It was a little twist ending. It was really good. I don't know nothing else about it, but I'm familiar with
if you can find it, maybe you should post it on like Patreon or something.
I'm familiar with
trepanation.
Trepanation.
Good. Cool. Good job, Dr. Kinney. And of course, we all know and have heard about probably shock therapy.
Now, see, this is a favorite. I feel like I would probably enjoy this.
So shock therapy was used to, quote unquote, cure a variety of mental health disorders. And it was used to cure everything from schizophrenia to bipolar to depression to anxiety before they really had a word for anxiety, all kinds of things. But I actually found out about one use of shock therapy that I didn't know about prior to researching for this episode. Mm-hmm. Impotence.
Oh, interesting.
Apparently, in the past, medical companies advertised shock belts that would deliver a bolt of electricity to your genitals in order to decrease impotence.
Wow. Okay.
Doesn't sound entirely like not pleasurable, but somehow I'm feeling like it would probably be too much.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think it probably would be. I don't know. Would I try it if offered the opportunity? Probably.
Listen, I'm not wholly against shock therapy. Just depends on the amount of volts. Like I could see it being like kind of fun.
Oh, I mean, if we get into like vibrators and stuff, then some of us perform shock therapy quite frequently.
We shock people every week.
Yeah.
With this bullshit.
Yeah. So, interestingly, that kind of transitions into my next sort of topic that I wanted to talk about by way of the genitals. Yeah. And that is female hysteria.
Oh, this is a fun one.
Yes. So female hysteria is one of my favorite topics to read about. There's a really good book by Rachel Maines called The Technology of Orgasm, Hysteria, the Vibrator, and Women's Satisfaction. There's also a really good stage play called In the Next Room, or The Vibrator Play by Sarah Rule. You can check that one out if you're interested in it, but you don't do all the medical mumbo jumbo long version reading. Mm-hmm. That's kind of like a script that's a lot easier to get through. But it's a really, really fascinating sort of medical diagnosis because it basically referred to any and every time a woman said something that a man didn't enjoy.
Oh, shit.
Or was acting bitchy, or was acting like they had their own fucking free will, or that they were a fucking human being. You know, all those pesky problems with women when they get too big for their britches, as they say where I'm from.
Oh, women couldn't wear britches.
True. They wore breeches with two E's. So female hysteria was a diagnosis that was basically given to any time a woman was doing something that was not, quote unquote, societally acceptable. Now, how do you know what's societally acceptable? Who
Ask
fucking knows?
Ask a man.
Yeah, basically that. But the treatment for female hysteria was very interesting. So, there was, and this has been studied for like a really, really long time. It goes all the way back to 500 BC with Hippocrates, who suggested that a variety of ailments seemed to affect females instead of males, and that perhaps those ailments could be traced back to the womb because that was the inherently female body part. So Hippocrates actually believed that the womb was a free-floating, wandering animal. And that when it moved into an unexpected place or got too close to another organ, problems would arise. So the word hysteria actually stems from the Greek word for uterus, which is hystera.
Yeah?
Yes. So a couple hundred years later, then we have this Roman physician whose name was Galen, and he theorized that hysteria, this movement of the womb, like it's a fucking like gerbil crawling around inside us.
This fucking chest burster inside fucking women.
Which honestly, for me, that's a positive affirmation for my uterus. I'm kind of into that image of my uterus as
Being
this beastly creature that just fucking, yeah, absolutely. I'm into it. So Galen theorized that this movement of the womb was caused by sexual deprivation. Women who were married had an easy fix for this: simply enlist their husbands to help them out. However, for unmarried women and widows and those who were devoted to the church, things weren't so easy. So Galen proposed the groundbreaking idea of pelvic massage. And supposedly this massage brought the intended cure, a, quote, hysterical paroxysm.
Ooh, hysterical paroxysm.
You might be more familiar with what we call it today, an orgasm, girl. That O.
They gave him a big O.
Next time I'm going to be like, oh, I'm so close to hysterical paroxysm.
Could you imagine hearing that in a fucking modern day porn? I'm going to give you a hysterical paroxysm. And Katie's like, oh, okay.
Interesting.
Sounds good. Sign me up.
So in his notes, Galen wrote a detailed description of his technique and its desired results. Quote, following the remedies and arising from the touch of the genital organs required by the treatment, there followed twitchings, accompanied at the same time by pain and pleasure, after which she emitted turbid and abundant sperm. From that time on, she was free of all the evil she felt. End quote.
Sounds like a good time to me.
I mean, come on. From that time on, she was free of that evil.
Yes.
Girl, don't I understand.
Until it built back up. See, that's the thing. That's the reason why Katie could never be in a fucking asylum in this time period. Because she just keep coming back.
I would need all kinds of treatment,
Doctor, the evil is back.
Absolutely. The evil is back.
The evil is here.
I'm over here like fucking Donald Pleasant.
Fucking Donald Pleasance and Halloween. The evil is here.
100%. Except me with like crazed hair and like fucking bags under my eyes.
Yeah, because
like,
you wouldn't have any fucking access to like, you know,
filters.
Bathing or like, yeah, or filters. Yeah, but I'm just going to say bathing or anything. And you're just going to.
Yeah, it's a lot less sexy than you think when we get into the details. So we're just gonna leave it at that. So Galen's technique actually became medical canon. So from then on, medical professionals would cite his technique.
Of course they did, because they were fucking male doctors.
Right.
Fucking, of course they did. Of course they did.
So they cited Galen and used his technique without much change for hundreds of years.
Of course.
And if you know a man, you understand that. So that was the Romans. Galen was the Romans, right? Roman Empire. Mm-hmm. Almost every century leading up to the hysteria boom of the 1800s, manual sexual relief of women was mentioned in medical journals and home health guides as the diagnosis of hysteria became more widespread.
Listen, sometimes you just need to get fucked.
Yes.
But that goes for everybody.
Right. Right. So in 1660, the term orgasm was first coined by Dr. Nathaniel Highmore. And the term was used to describe the end result of a pelvic massage. So we transferred away from, hysterical paroxysm into orgasm in 1660.
I kind of like hysterical paroxysm.
Yeah, it has more color to it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds more like, ooh, I want to experience that.
Hysterical paroxysm, I want to experience that. On like a fucking travel poster of like a valley, like a just really deep valley with one little road going through it. Amazing. So Dr. Highmore, the man who coined the term orgasm.
Did he also coin the term hymen?
No.
Okay.
His name is spelled Highmore.
I know, but
No, but it's High.
Oh.
Yeah, not H.
I was hoping there was a relation
Missed opportunity. There. No. But he was a really smart man, and he pointed out that achieving the desired end result of orgasm was no easy task. And he equated it to, quote, that game of boys in which they try to rub their stomachs with one hand and pat their heads with the other.
That's what he equated, trying to give a woman an orgasm?
Yes. And it's a fitting comparison. It's very tricky. See, you're fucking it up already. It's out. I don't know. We can see. So by the 1800s, hysteria was widely accepted as the most common disease amongst women, and one that doctors found themselves treating with increasing frequency. In fact, a French physician named Pierre Briquet made the bold claim that at least a quarter of all women in the Victorian era suffered from neurasthenic disorders. So, if all these women are being diagnosed with hysteria, which we know is kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
But all these women are being diagnosed with hysteria and they're running to their doctors because, trust me, girl, I mean, if the gyno doctor had anything good in store for me, I would be in there, like, on the monthly. Like, you know what I mean? But it's nothing but pain here because we haven't fucking moved forward in women's healthcare in a long-ass time. So it's nothing but pain in that office today. But if it was a place like an orgasm clinic, 100% would be rolling through the door. So these doctors, they're getting tired. Because it takes a lot, right? Like, as our boy Highmore said, it's really complicated. So, of course, women's healthcare and women's services only progress when, men are irritated, tired, or bored.
Right.
So we start looking for automation of the technique, right? So doctors are getting tired of this old method prescribed by Galen, and they were supposedly paroxysing so many women that their fingers began to cramp, and they started to look for alternative methods. So the first method was hydrotherapy.
Oh.
Women would sit in a specially designed chair and have a powerful jet of water directed at their pelvic region.
Oh.
And one doctor claimed that there was no better way to administer a paroxysm and that the effects were impossible to describe.
Well, listen. It is fun.
So soon enough, another doctor decided that there was a better way to do this, and he came up with the manipulator.
Ooh, is this a vibrator? Is
Yes.
that what a vibrator is?
It's the it's the progenitor of the vibrator. So the manipulator was a large and cumbersome table with a hole in it, in which was placed a vibrating sphere atop which women would sit. Doctors were strongly advised against letting women sit atop the sphere for longer than a few minutes, as it could result in, quote, overindulgence.
This sounds like what we were talking about on that episode of Cam, on the episode where we talked about Cam, where they had the thing
like the
and
saddle.
it vibrated.
Yeah,
like,
the saddle.
So
it's kind of like that. Yeah, it's this big table, and in the middle of it is this like little vibrating ball, and you just sit on the ball, and reach orgasm.
Do you just cross? Like, do you sit like cowgirl style, or do
Not
you
sure.
sit like?
I'm imagining you're
cross legs.
I'm imagining you're straddling the ball without getting into too many gory details, right?
Oh, okay.
So
I hope they cleaned it afterwards.
Me too. So slowly, vibrators began to get smaller and smaller, beginning with a portable version in 1882, which ran on
For the doctor on the go.
Yes. Which ran on a 40-pound battery.
Fuck.
And involved 2 separate units.
Could you imagine, like, you're a doctor making a house call and then, like, you know, you've got to pull that fucking... Because you know that's what it was for, right? More than likely. Like, they made the travel size for traveling doctors, I'm pretty sure. More, that's what it seems like to me anyway. And then you just, like, you've got the woman, she's, like, fucking she's set up on the fucking kitchen table... Fucking legs open, doctor comes up and just slams his big ass fucking 40-pound fucking car battery onto the fucking table with his fucking dildo, and that just seems like a lot.
Amazing.
I hope they were okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So these were they were for doctors on the go, but they were largely for treatment at home for hysteria. So this machine was highly recommended by medical professionals because manual massages, quote, took a painstaking hour to accomplish, which just sounds like a man, and provided, quote, much less profound results than are easily affected by the vibrator in a short 5 or 10 minutes. Quote. So at least they acknowledged that vibrators were
I just love how
quicker, better.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I just love how we go from like, okay, we've got the doctors, they're doing it, and then they're like, I'm fucking tired of doing this, so then let's create a machine to do it for us. And now
we're nervous about it. Now we're scared to use
It's
them
like the man has
too
created
good.
The monster.
Yes.
And is now fighting against. Very Frankenstein-esque.
True. Very true.
I never realized
Just
that relation.
embrace it. Just embrace it. So by the early 1900s, the vibrator had become more portable, more affordable, and to many women's delight, more private. Because obviously, if I have to lug a fucking 40-pound battery into the next room, right, and turn that shit on, there ain't no masturbating in
You
secret.
can probably hear it.
Right. It probably sounds like a fucking, like, leaf blower.
Fucking next door neighbor in the flat over.
For sure. I mean, they're
It's
definitely going to know about your hysteria, girl. You ain't going to get no, like,
they're trying to have tea
time.
next door, and you just hear.
For sure. You're definitely not going to be able to hide that from your spouse. But by the early 1900s, they've become much smaller, and so a lot more private. With the advancement of technology, women were able to be houses were able to be electrified, and therefore women could use their vibrators at home. Mm-hmm. So they didn't have to go to the doctor's office when they could just remedy their sexual frustrations alone and in the comfort of our own homes.
Oh, okay.
So thankfully, we have kind of moved past the diagnosis of female hysteria at this point. We can all treat our sexual frustrations as much as we like through the use of many lovely websites such as adamandeve.com.
Mm-hmm. Which we are not sponsored by. But,
we are not.
But
holler at us.
Adam and Eve. I'll holler at Adam. You can holler at Eve.
Yes. So we've left female hysteria in the past for the most part. But it did yield us. I mean, there's a lot to be said about the diagnosis of female hysteria as far as like, there's a lot of murder cases where that plays into things where people get off on that. People get off for crimes on that sort of diagnosis, or people get discounted as witnesses because of that diagnosis. But the one good thing it did do is give us vibrators.
Yeah. So out of all of this, we have ended with, we have vibrators.
100%. I wanted to end it on a positive note. So to all my sisters and brothers, there we go.
No, yeah, that was interesting.
One old-timey treatment we don't have to be wary of.
Exactly. Unless your vibrator has cocaine on it.
Yes, none of that. Not a good choice. Don't do it.
Here's this mercury vibrator.
No,
please don't. No.
Although I bet that was probably a thing back in the day.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm sure they mixed and matched.
We're just going to use this fucking mercury as lube.
Although that would be really pretty, but very scary.
I don't imagine it would be effective because mercury is very, like, slippery.
Doesn't it, like, evaporate? Yeah.
But
yeah, slipperiness is definitely not what you want in a lube.
But in a different kind of slippery. Like, it's not going to adhere to your it's not going to make anything lubricated, I guess.
All right. I'll take
If you're into that,
it.
let us know. Let us know your thoughts on it. Anyway, but no, we also have, before we close out the episode, we just have like a little small announcement that we would like to make.
We do.
So, yours truly will be attending the True Crime Podcast Festival in Chicago, Illinois.
In big Chicago, the Windy City.
Big old Windy City, honey.
Better hope we don't get blowed away.
We gonna blow away like Dorothy.
That was
Kansas.
Kansas.
Oz.
Dorothy was in Kansas.
I know that, but it's like, I wasn't talking about where. I wasn't talking about the location. I was just talking about being blown away because it was a windy city.
Yes. So we will be in
Don't
Chicago.
Don't you ever. I'm a gay man. Don't try to fucking educate me on the fucking Wizard of Oz. Bitch. Anyway, continue.
I think we should take it back. Especially because at the intro you said, so we will be... You took the saddest breath. You took the saddest breath.
If you're into Mercury as lube, let us know.
Yes, definitely do.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
No, keep it to yourself.
Maybe so. The Haunted Heart Podcast at gmail.com. Anyway, you can address that just to me. So that's our episode on old-timey cures. But before we go, we wanted to share a little announcement with you guys.
Yes. So yours truly, and when I say that, I mean me and Katie, are going to be in Chicago for the True Crime Podcast Festival.
In July.
Yes.
Specifically July 13th. So we will be at the Marriott on Magnificent Mile. I don't know what that is or where that is, but I'm sure I'll learn when we visit the beautiful city of Chicago. I've never been there.
Shitty of Chicago.
Did I do that?
I think you said the shitty of
That's going to be a problem. No, Chicago, you're beautiful. We love you. And we will be in you on July 13th. We will be there with a bunch of other really cool true crime podcasts. So it's definitely worth coming out if you're in the Chicago area, if you're near the Chicago area, or if you fancy a little road trip. Definitely come out. It's July 13th, and you can get tickets at tcpf2019.com, and that's T as in true, C as in crime, P as in podcast, F as in festival, 2019.com.
So it's going to be a really casual event. We'll be walking around and just talking with people. We'll probably have some merch there as well that you can buy and pick up. And, you know, we might grab a beer afterwards.
Absolutely.
Or something else, because I don't drink beer.
Yeah, maybe cocktail.
I have a
maybe
cocktail.
Nice cocktail.
I have a cocktail.
Maybe. Yeah, so July, look out for that. We'll remind you guys a couple times about it, but definitely get tickets now because I know that they're only selling a certain amount of tickets, and I think as we get closer to the event, the price goes up.
Yeah.
Up. So tcpf2019.com if you're interested in hanging out with us, and let us know that you'll be there.
Yes.
So if you want to plan your trip to Chicago, or if you just want to hang out with a bunch of cool people all the time, you can join our Facebook group. Search the Haunted Heart Podcast, and that will pull up our group. It is a closed group just for the privacy of our members, but if you request to become a member, our member of our Murder Mod Squad will approve you, and then you can get up in there and see all the Haunted Heart happenings and such.
Yeah.
We're also on Instagram at The Haunted Heart Podcast. We're on Twitter at The Haunted Heart. If you ever want to email us, we're The Haunted Heart Podcast at gmail.com. And I think that's it.
Yes. So until next time, or until we see you in Chicago, you guys gotta
Stay spooky.